What's good, FG fam? Welcome to another episode of the Miami Marlins franchise here on MLB the Show 21 Next Gen. The MLB draft is coming up next episode, so it's time to go over some of the can't-miss prospects in the draft class, as well as some of your custom prospects. So make sure you guys slap a like on the video, subscribe to keep up with the series and future franchises on the channel so we can build dynasties together. I'll be going over some positions in positional order here, starting with the pitchers, so let's get into it. Starting pitchers are aplenty in this year's class. As expected, the consensus top prospect in the entire draft class is Darren Montag, coming out of Coastal Carolina. Now, Montag is from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and is being labeled as the next Jacob deGrom, both in skill and in the fact that his team can't seem to find him any run support. For that reason, Missouri was able to take Coastal out of contention for the College World Series. Montag's high velocity mixed with the fact that he doesn't give up many long balls make him very desirable for MLB teams. Another starter that didn't get to show himself in the College World Series is a custom prospect, Pitt's Ethan Smith. Smith is from Toronto, Canada, and chose to go to Pitt instead of joining the national team in Canada. Some say he would have been a higher pick if he just would have stuck home. But his raw, low control gives him a poor strikeout pitching arsenal. But he does have great velocity and rarely gives a free bag away. He helped Pitt be a viable team this year, but they were ultimately beaten by Boston College, ending their run for the season. William Hanna was a big draw for Rutgers this season with his strong velocity on his fastball, sinker, and slider. Unfortunately, his control let him down late in the season against Boston College, taking Rutgers out of contention for the title as well. The Staten Island, New York native was heavily recruited in the Northeast area, but his mom is a professor at Rutgers, and he also convinced his high school teammate, closing pitcher Roger Dominguez, to become a Scarlet Knight as well. We'll get to that later. The next starter, Darryl O'Malley out of Stanford, was part of a fantastic Stanford Cardinal team this year. They had a great run going, beating the Michigan Wolverines before eventually losing to Iowa. O'Malley has great velocity with nice breaking balls, and it could be a deadly combo if it's honed in on by his future pitching coach. He excels at getting the strikeout with his nasty slider and sweeping curve. The California native is hoping to get picked by his favorite team, the LA Dodgers, but I doubt they're going to have the pick to select such a stud. The final starting pitcher of the bunch is custom prospect Derek Vance. Vance is an Ohio native who walked on at Ohio State before earning his way to a scholarship his sophomore year. Vance is definitely a breaking ball pitcher with a great slider, curveball, and sinker. He doesn't get too many strikeouts, but he also doesn't give up too many hits and gets a lot of ground balls. He's a big reason that Ohio State was able to make the early stages of the College World Series tournament and beat Indiana before faltering eventually, but he's not the only reason. We'll get to that later as well. On to the only relief pitcher in the bunch of highlighted prospects. It's custom prospect Michael McHugh out of Arizona State. Now, McHugh is the closer for Arizona State, but he figures to be more of a setup guy or mid-relief pitcher as he's not the best clutch guy. McHugh lives in Sacramento with his mom, but his dad lives in Phoenix, and he chose to be a Sun Devil so his dad could be at every game. Michael is a high strikeout, low walk pitcher with a great slider and a 12-6 curve. He wasn't a big prospect coming out of high school and still isn't considered a blue chipper, but I think he can really surprise some people. He shut the door on a really great win over Oregon to get ASU into a regional final. Now, there are three actual closers in the class to talk about, starting with Washington State's Robbie McDermott. The 19-year-old Washington native chose the Cougars over the Huskies and used his four-pitch high-break arsenal to take down Oklahoma State in a super regional. He's going to take a little bit of time in the minors to get some much-needed control and hone his pitch selection to avoid walks and homers, but once he does that, he'll be a very good major league closer. Now, we mentioned him before, and it's time to talk about Roger Dominguez of Rutgers. He followed his buddy William Hanna to Piscataway, New Jersey, and it paid off for him. Closing a lot of Hanna's wins really helped him get noticed by scouts. A high-velocity, four-pitch closer who doesn't give up many hits and usually shuts the door pretty quickly, certainly catches the eyes of scouts. The duo really did well in taking down Louisville, but faltered against Boston College and our next highlighted prospect, who is Ryan Muller. Ryan Muller, the Boston College Eagles closer, shut so many teams down in big games in the 9th inning this season that he just had to get some notice from scouts. Muller's a 20-year-old from Lowell, Massachusetts that will not need very much time to reach the majors. If there's one problem with him, it's that he only has a 3-pitch arsenal with a running fastball, changeup, and curveball. But he did have high strikeout numbers, low hit numbers against, and great velocity on his running fastball. Now we can finally move on to the position players. Catcher Thad Guillory was another part of Stanford's great team this year. He's a super defensive catcher from San Francisco, California. His hitting leaves a lot to be desired, but he's only 19. He has time to work with a hitting coach to get better. It really is a shame that Stanford got taken out by the Iowa Hawkeyes so early this season, but you can see why. Not enough timely hitting and a lot of defense. With no first baseman to speak of in this class, we will move to second base and take a look at Geno Schultz of the Illinois Fighting Illini, whose hopes were shattered by Nebraska of all teams. However, that was not Geno's fault. Schultz is the only switch hitting position player we'll speak of in this preview, and he's a great one. He has great plate discipline and really high contact numbers mixed with some good speed as well. Definitely the kind of second baseman you would want as a cornerstone of your middle defense. If there's bad news, it's that he's 21 already, but he could be in the majors next year or the year after that. At third base, user prospect Andrew Pierce is the talk of the town over there. The Pennsylvania native wasn't getting any scholarship offers until he played in a showcase out in Iowa, of all places, where Boise State took notice from a state over. He got his only offer from the Broncos, and the rest was just history. He's going to be a raw player for a while with low vision and discipline at the plate, but his potential is through the roof. He has had great speed and base running for a third baseman, and he used it to his advantage for the Broncos, who weren't very good throughout his tenure there, but maybe that helped him shine a little bit brighter. Usually there are tons of shortstops to look at, but this year there's only one, and his name is Emil Sosa. Sosa's a Cuban defector whose parents moved from Florida to Missouri after he turned 11 years old. He chose to stay home at Mizzou as he's very close-knit with his family. When he first started at Mizzou, he was really just a super speedy bunting player. However, he's really improved his game to the point where Major League scouts see some real potential in him. Now, he played well this season, but it wasn't enough to help his Tigers get past the Florida Gators in the College World Series final. Speaking of the Florida Gators, their left fielder Nate Townsend was the big talk of town in Gainesville. He was clutch in the College World Series finals against Mizzou with big hit after big hit. Now, Townsend is a Florida native from Orlando who has great vision at the plate and very good speed to beat out throws to first base. Still needs to work a little bit on his discipline at the plate and his consistency as well. But with some clutch hits, he got his team the trophy this season, and he's being looked at with some top picks in the draft. Another left fielder being talked about fondly is custom prospect Jack Dawson out of Oklahoma State. Now, he's from Wisconsin, but he made a ton of errors in high school and never really got any looks from scouts. He actually went to Oklahoma State for their ranking in value because he was intending to pay his way through school. But he was hitting some baseballs on the field with a friend in his freshman year, and he was bombing them out of the park. So the coach wanted him to join the team, and as a walk-on, he earned a scholarship with his tremendous bat and plate vision. He hit 2 homers in a game against Washington State, even though the team still lost. But I'd be very curious to see what team selects and take a chance on Jack Dawson this year. Lastly, in left field is Derek Vance's Ohio State teammate, custom prospect Timmy Klink. Now, Timmy has a hard time putting the bat on the ball consistently, but when he does, it is smashed. He is an underrated base stealer and has a great arm in the outfield as well. He's a Pennsylvania guy, but as an Ohio State fan, he committed to the Buckeyes immediately upon receiving an offer from them. It will be interesting to see which of these friends makes it to the majors first. Will it be Derek or will it be Timmy? Moving on to center field, Ethan Smith's teammate in Pittsburgh, Roger Williamson, had a fantastic freshman year. However, this year, he had a bit of a sophomore slump. He's from Harrisburg, PA, and he always wanted to be a Pitt Panther. Some say the comfortability got to him this season, But either way, he's going to be really raw in the minors. But he's only 19. He's got a ton of time to work on his hitting and fielding. He's just really a pinch runner on draft day, but he definitely has the potential with some good vision and discipline at the plate to be so much more than that. User prospect Bobby Valentine was the center fielder for the North Carolina Tar Heels for just this year, his freshman year. Some scouts say he should stay in college ball for another year, but he's really looking to pay for a kidney transplant for his ailing mother, which is why he committed to his hometown school at Chapel Hill instead of taking one of his 6 other offers. He's looking to make it to the majors quickly, but many don't think he's going to. He's a terrific base runner and reacts well in the field, but his hitting needs a lot of work if he's going to make a major league roster right away. He seemed to be trying too hard to make a name for himself in a game against Mizzou, causing his team to take the fall there. Another user prospect center fielder, Ryan Chambers, is a New Mexico native that got tons of big school offers, and he chose to be a Texas Longhorn. He played his freshman season this year, and he did quite well. Some consider him more of a leadoff hitter in the minors at first, with great speed and base running. His bunting skills also help him get on base more often than not. But he still has a lot to learn, and he was not enough to carry Texas past Kansas State early on in the College World Series, so he may figure to be a later pick than he would like to be. Our last prospect to highlight is another member of the Stanford squad, right fielder Miles Usby. Now, Miles was the captain and veteran of the team. The junior was a 3-year starter for the Cardinal, and he has nice speed, great power, and excellent fielding. He'll strike out a good bit, but when he comes through, it's usually to drive in a few runs or even prevent some out in the outfield. Usby's timetable to get to the bigs is not going to be a long one, especially if he's brought along nicely by the staff. Definitely one of the more MLB-ready guys in the entire draft class. Did your created prospect make the cut for the preview? If not, that's fine. You can still make it as an international prospect. All I need you to do is submit a position along with a name that sounds like it's from, a South American or Spanish country or even Canada down in the comments section below, and you might get selected to be an international prospect. The Marlins hold a pick right on the cusp of being able to get a blue-chip prospect in this draft, so which one do you hope falls to them? Let me know in the comments section below. The next episode will feature a very special draft presentation, and we'll get back to some games as well. If you enjoyed this draft special, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel for the love of franchise content. If you want to see some more franchise, make sure you guys click right here to see some more franchise.